If you're moving to Northern Virginia, you probably think that school starts after Labor Day. That's how it works in a lot of the country. It doesn't work that way here. In places like Fairfax County Public Schools and Arlington Public Schools, school starts in mid to late August. And that one detail quietly, almost invisibly, is where a lot of relocations start to go off track. Because what most families do is they plan this move the way they've always planned their moves. They say, okay, we'll start looking in June, we'll find something in July, we'll close in August, and then we'll be ready for school. And on paper, that sounds completely reasonable. But here's the problem. In Northern Virginia, that timeline doesn't just put you slightly behind. It puts you in a position where everything starts stacking on top of itself. Your closing overlaps with your move. Your move overlaps with school registration. School registration overlaps with the first day of school. And now, instead of easing in to a new chapter, you're juggling 5 major transitions all at once. And I've seen this play out enough times that you can almost predict it. I've seen families absolutely nail this. They arrive, they settle in, their kids walk into school on day one like they've been there for years. And I've also seen families who technically made it, but if you looked at those first 2 weeks, they were just trying to keep things together. Boxes stacked in corners, kids asking where things are, parents trying to learn the area while also managing a new routine of their own. Same move, same goal, completely different experience. So what I want to do here is walk you through what this actually looks like in Northern Virginia. Not just the timeline, but the feel of it. Let's start with the anchor, the thing that doesn't move. Typical school start dates. Fairfax County Public Schools usually around August 19th through the 21st. Arlington Public Schools around August 22nd to the 24th. Alexandria City Public Schools around August 19th to the 22nd. That's your fixed point. Everything else revolves around it. And here's where the mind shift happens for people who really understand this market. They stop thinking about when they're moving in, and they start thinking about when they want to feel settled in. Because those last couple weeks before school, they're not just logistical, they're emotional. That's when kids are walking into their new rooms, figuring out where their stuff is, getting comfortable with a new home environment. That's when parents are testing the drive to school for the first time, figuring out where the grocery store is, and realizing which roads get backed up in the morning. It's that quiet period where everything starts to click. And if you don't have that, you feel it. Now, layer in the market itself. Northern Virginia is not forgiving when it comes to timing. Northern Virginia is a place where government jobs create relocation cycles. Military families move on defined schedules, and corporate hires show up with firm timelines. And summer, that is when all of these timelines converge. So what you end up with is not just demand, but synchronized demand. Everyone is aiming for the same landing window. And that demand does not spread evenly. It concentrates in very specific places. Places tied to certain schools, certain neighborhoods, certain reputations. Which is why this doesn't feel like a broad housing search. It feels like a very narrow funnel. Let me show you how this usually unfolds. A family starts out saying, we want to move to Northern Virginia. Then that becomes, maybe Arlington. We like the walkability and the energy. Then, we've heard good things about Yorktown. Then, actually, we really like Discovery Elementary. And now, we're not talking about a region anymore. We're talking about a very specific pocket. In Arlington, within the Yorktown High School pyramid, there's Discovery Elementary, Jamestown Elementary, Taylor Elementary. These are just a few minutes apart in many cases. But in the minds of buyers, these schools are completely distinct. I've had families stand in a house, love the layout, love the street, and then pause and say, wait, which elementary school is this? And that answer can change everything. In McLean, small distances make big differences. Within Langley High School, there's Churchill Road, Colvin Run, Forestville. On a map, these are all close. In the market, very different. And buyers start to realize this is not just about the house anymore. In Alexandria, Maury Elementary with a strong Delray community, Lyles Crouch, Old Town charm, Jeffrey Houston, unique programming. Here it becomes about how the school fits in to the neighborhood rhythm. And here's what happens once you narrow down to this level. Housing inventory shrinks dramatically. Now combine that with a tight timeline, and you can see why timing becomes unforgiving. Let me bring this down to ground level for just a second, because this is the part that doesn't show up anywhere online, and that is drop-off. At schools like Discovery or Churchill Road, there's a flow to this. Cars line up, staff guides the process, parents learn the rhythm. And if you're not close, you feel it immediately. I had a client with a beautiful home in a great neighborhood, but just far enough from the school that it added about 10 extra minutes in real traffic. And that doesn't sound like a lot until you're doing it every single morning and every single afternoon. They told me after the first week, we didn't realize how much this would shape our day. And that's something that you don't see while you're touring homes, but you end up living it very quickly. Then there's the community layer. Schools like Jamestown, Kent Gardens, Maury, these are active environments. People know each other. Events are frequent. There's a rhythm to the year. For some families, this is incredibly welcoming. It helps them integrate quickly. For others, especially if they're relocating, it could feel like stepping into something that is already in motion. And again, the timing matters, because when you arrive with just a little bit of breathing room, you could step into that gradually. When you arrive rushed, it all hits at once. Even on the private school side, this timing pressure does not disappear. Schools like the Potomac School, Sidwell Friends School still start in mid to late August. So now, instead of zoning dictating your decision, your commute does. And that becomes part of your daily structure. Now, let me put this on screen, because honestly, if you're planning a move to Northern Virginia with children, this may be the most important part of this entire video. And seriously, take a screenshot of this right now. I mean that, because this is the real Northern Virginia school move timeline, not the fantasy version where you start looking in July, magically find the perfect house in a week, close immediately, unpack overnight, register for school, and somehow everybody is emotionally settled 3 days before classes begin. That is not how this usually works here. The safer, smoother timeline starts much earlier than most people think. In April, you're not necessarily buying yet, but you are getting strategic. You're choosing school districts, talking to lenders, thinking about the commute, deciding between Arlington, Alexandria, McLean, Falls Church, Fairfax County, looking at school pyramids, figuring out lifestyle priorities. This is the planning phase. Then in May, you should really be actively searching, not just casually browsing Zillow at night, actually touring homes, learning neighborhoods, understanding pricing differences, and narrowing your focus. Once you target a specific elementary school, a high school pyramid, your inventory shrinks dramatically. And then by June, offers should already be happening. And this is where families start feeling pressure. In Northern Virginia, especially in strong school districts, you may not have 10 good options. You may only have 2, sometimes 1. And this is the key moment right here. June into early July is your last safe window. By early July, ideally, you are under contract on your home. That gives you enough breathing room for inspections, financing, movers, utility setup, school paperwork, learning the area, and letting your kids actually settle in emotionally. And then by late July, you're moving. And by early August, you're settling in. That is when you want to learn the drop-off route for school, figure out morning traffic, meet the neighbors, find parks, and get comfortable. Because then by mid-August, school starts. And again, screenshot this now. Seriously, you'll thank yourself later. And if you want the full resolution version of this timeline graphic, plus my school district and neighborhood breakdown guide for Northern Virginia, just reach out to me directly. I'm happy to send it over. If there's one thing I've learned helping families move here, it's this. Don't plan around your move-in date. Plan around your settled date. That's the difference between a smooth transition and what I call the August trap. So there's another thing. Before school starts, you need proof of residency. Districts like Fairfax County Public Schools do not bend on that. No closing, no registration. And that is where timing becomes non-negotiable. This is not just a real estate transaction. It's a family transition. New home, new routines, new school. And when timing supports that, it feels smooth. When it doesn't, you certainly feel the friction. If you're planning this type of move, I put together this custom timeline and school strategy guide based on price point and neighborhoods. Reach out, brian@brianblock.com, and I will send it over to you. In Northern Virginia, you don't miss this timeline by much. You either hit it or you feel it.